Hey everybody, it's Fading Signal again here with another TES5Edit tutorial. This time I'm going to be covering the 101 basics of what TES5Edit is, how it's different from the CK, and just kind of the overall interface and how to make basic changes to your Skyrim game. We're actually going to go ahead and make two tiny little mods in this video. One will be a change to the gold item. Another change will be to Lydia to change her default weapon and her default armor. And I do have to apologize again, I am still a little bit sick, so pardon if my voice is a little raspy or nasally or all of the above. Let's go ahead and just open TES5Edit and see what we got. Alright, so the first thing that you're going to see when you open the application every time, it's going to give you a plugin selection window. This window actually shows you every single plugin that you have in your load order, active or not, and by default we'll have checkboxes ticked next to all of your active plugins. If we were to hit OK right now, it would load our entire load order and take forever. So we're not going to do that. We're actually just going to focus on a couple of main plugins. So you're going to want to right click, do select none. We're going to select Skyrim, the update, and the unofficial Skyrim patch. Now, if you don't have the unofficial Skyrim patch installed, I highly suggest it. It addresses numerous things that were broken in the vanilla game that I won't go into here, but it's always a good idea if you're making mods to include this since most users use it. Let's go ahead and click OK. Now we are loaded. Now I'm actually going to take this opportunity to talk a little bit about the differences between TES5Edit and the Creation Kit. Now TES5Edit is not a basic application. It is very fully featured. It will let you edit literally every single thing in Skyrim. It'll let you change every aspect of the game. The only thing that it cannot do that the CK does is give you visual feedback. And what I mean is you can't view the rendered world, you can't view cells, you can't view meshes and models. So if you're doing things like level design or designing houses, changing landscape, making changes to NPC facial structure, you can't do that kind of stuff in TES5Edit. You're going to want to do that in the CK. But literally anything else from, changing AI packages to adding new items to, pretty much anything you can think of, you can do inside of TES5Edit. Very powerful. Another plus side to TES5Edit is that it's almost impossible to make what are called dirty edits or wild edits, something that if you're familiar with the CK at all is very easy to do by accident. You can just, click on something and it'll get included in your mod accidentally. Very difficult to do that with TES5Edit. It's very controlled. And so now that we're kind of looking at our load order here on the left side, this is always going to be loading in the sequence that your plugins are loaded in your load order. So it's going to basically be a virtual mini load order, what you have selected. If you're unfamiliar with the way that Skyrim updates records at load time, essentially the way that all plugins work, ESP files and ESM files, which there's really not a big difference except for ESMs are masters that are flagged as being, a core dependency from other plugins. I'm not going to go into too much detail about the differences on those now. There really isn't much of a difference, but essentially when the game loads, it'll look through all of the plugins that are in the load order, and whatever records are edited in the last plugin are the ones that essentially win. There are a number of record types that do merge at runtime. And what that means is that they don't overwrite each other, they actually blend together. So for example, if I placed a house in front of the grass in Whiterun and another mod places a house in the same spot, when I load those two mods together, the engine is actually going to render both of them. And this is when we see things like clipping and buildings overlapping with rocks and things like that. So landscape and world data does merge together, but in general, things like NPCs, weapons, most of the other important things in the game do get overwritten entirely by whatever succeeds them in the load order. So if you have one mod that changes the damage level of an iron sword, and then another mod right after it that also changes the level, or not even the damage level, but if you have another mod that changes the name of the iron sword, both of those edit the same record, and all of the data from the last one is the one that gets chosen. And you'll see some of that in a minute. So getting back to the interface, we're always going to see our plugins in the left side. Let's actually go ahead and expand the Skyrim.esm. So you're always going to see everything that's contained within the plugin here in the left. And in this Skyrim ESM file itself, this is literally everything that's inside of the Skyrim game. Everything from activators to the NPCs, to the weapons, to the magic effects, to camera paths, to literally everything except for the loose assets such as textures, scripts, meshes, etc. All data is included in this Skyrim ESM, and it's really laid out like a database. And you can kind of think as TES5Edit is almost, a lightweight kind of spreadsheet-like interface to edit the data that's in that database. In the right side here is where we will always have our view window. So let's actually go ahead and expand. Let's scroll down and expand book. So here we've got every book in the game. No spoilers if you don't want to see. Let's go ahead and click on the Augment Infinium. So clicking here, you'll see in the right side, it will show you all the data for that record. You're going to see all kinds of things that don't make sense. You can kind of ignore most of it for the most part. The more familiar you get with the records, if you really start getting serious with this, the more it'll start to make sense. But in general, you've got everything here from the name to the actual mesh. Let's expand this a little. To the mesh, to the text within the book. I mean, you've got all of the data for the record here on the right side. And if you notice here, we've got two columns. This is probably one of the most powerful things about TES5Edit. When you have a record selected, it will show you every plugin that's loaded currently during your session. It'll show you every plugin that is affecting that record. And it will show it to you left to right, and it'll show you the differences. The differences are usually highlighted in yellow if they are making a change. They'll be highlighted in red if it's a deleting change. Like for example, if I removed something in one of the plugins here, it would actually show as red, but we'll get into that in a minute. So this is really helpful, and you can actually drag and drop values in between, which we're going to do in a little bit. But in general, you've got your records on the left, your info on the right. Down here at the bottom, you've got a few helpful tabs. You've got messages, which shows you kind of confirmation messages of what everything is happening. When you're running scripts and things like that, you'll see information being rendered here. In general, we're going to always stay in the View tab, though. This is where you're going to see all the data layout. I never use the weapon armor spreadsheet or ammunition spreadsheet. These are relatively new features. I don't really know exactly what they do. I think it helps you easily compare data specifically between weapons and between mods, but I haven't really messed with that yet. So we'll skip that for now. So let's actually go ahead and kind of skim over some of the things that are contained in the Skyrim ESM. I mean, some of the things that are pretty obvious you're going to see here, like armor. If we scroll down, you're going to see, let's see here. Magic effect, non-player character. If we expand this is literally every single character in the entire game. Let's see, what else? Game settings. This is another really fun one. There's a lot of mods, things like faster horses and some of the mods that change the walking speed of the characters. All they do is simply change one or two values on game settings, which is just, proof how powerful this thing is. You can make some really, really simple mods that are very powerful. So I could babble on forever and ever about all these different records and all the different things that can go on. But the best way to show you how to navigate through and how to actually use TES5Edit to make changes is to just show you. So we're going to actually go ahead and make a new mod, two new mods actually, but we'll start with the first one. We're going to make a basic change to the gold item and rename it and give it some weight. So we're going to want to actually search and find that. So let's expand the Skyrim.esm, scroll down. Let's go to misc item and then go to gold. Now, by default, everything is sorted by the form ID, which is its unique identifier, but you can click up here in the editor ID or the name to sort by either of those, which is helpful. If you know the name of the thing you're looking for, you can easily sort by name and just kind of scroll to find it. But I'm going to keep it sorted by form ID just so everything's nice and tidy. So gold. All right, if we click here, we see this whole background is white. There are no other plugins currently loaded anyway that make any changes to gold. TES5Edit does not allow us to make direct changes to the Skyrim master files, which is a good thing. We don't want to be making changes accidentally to these. So first thing we're going to want to do is actually make a new plugin that contains an override for this record. And to do that, we're going to want to right-click, select Copy as Override Into. Now, a quick distinction between these two. Copy as Override will make a clone of this record and retain the unique form ID, and that will actually override the data with whatever you change in your plugin. If I did copy as new record, it would make a copy of this, but it would have a different form ID, so it would be a new item. This is really useful if you want to make a copy of an armor or a copy of a different item and change it around to actually make it a new item. but use that first record as kind of a basis. But we want to override. So let's do copy as override into. It's going to give you a warning, which is fine. It does that the first time. Let's click yes. Now we're going to want to select new file because we want a new plugin. Click OK. Go ahead and name it. Let's call this Gold Septims. Hit OK. It's going to ask you if we want to add Skyrim as a master, which is required. Everything's, you know, we need a master plugin to start from. Everything starts with this Skyrim ESM, so click yes. And if you notice, now we actually have two columns appearing. We've got Skyrim.esm and our new plugin goldseptims.esp. This is showing us again that there are other plugins that are making changes to this record. In our case, it's our new plugin. Everything is green right now. If you see this record here showing in green, records that show white do not have any other plugins making changes to them. Records that are green like this mean that there are identical records. There's basically a copy that does not make any changes. If you see here, if a record has a yellow item behind it, or a yellow color behind it, that means that a change is made, or something has been added to that record in a different plugin. If it's red, that means something's been removed. And we can get into the kind of the details of the legend later on, but that's kind of like a good thing to be able to eyeball and be able to know what's being changed or edited, kind of at a glance. All right, so let's go ahead and make some changes to the gold. Now, let's go down to the name. We're actually going to change the name from gold to gold septim. So there's a couple of ways that you can edit entries in TES5Edit. You can either right-click on the cell and click edit to get this little pop-up. Let's cancel that. Or you can press F2 to do it in line. Sometimes that's helpful if you're doing a lot of edits. It makes it kind of easy to do. So we're just going to go ahead and hit F2 to do edit in line. Type gold septim, press return. If you notice, suddenly that line turned yellow. That means that that's the line that's changed. Again, this is really good to be able to, at a glance, click on a mod and see what changes it's made. If you've got a large record that's got a lot of data and you want to only see the changes, you can right-click and say hide no conflict rows. This will hide all of the rows that do not have any conflicting edits rather. Click that. So now it only shows us what the changes are. Very helpful. It's also very helpful to remember to right-click and undo that, because if you're clicking on these items that don't have changes, this window will be blank. So let's undo that, hide no conflict rows. Okay, so now we've got our change in. If we were to just save this and load the game, we would notice that every single gold septim in the game, or every piece of gold in the game, is now called gold septim. But we're going to actually make another change. We're going to give it some weight so that you can't carry around 50,000 septims. Let's do 0.1, press return. All right, we're all set. So now we're going to go ahead and save this plugin. You can do that by either closing, which will prompt you to save it. I don't like to do that because it's easy to accidentally not save it. Or you can just hit Control S for save. Make sure the box is checked next to it. Click OK, and we're saved. You can see here, done saving. Let's go ahead and click View again. Now, quick note, something that's very valuable in this view that's relatively new to TES5Edit that's been extremely valuable to me is this referenced by tab. Now, whenever you're on an item, you can see this number changing. It will show you where in the rest of the game or in the rest of the plugin this item is being referenced. This is very helpful to know if either the item that you're editing or the person or the object or whatever it is that you're editing is even being used, and if it is being used, what all it's going to affect. So let's go ahead and click this reference by and see all of the places that reference the gold. Obviously, there's a ton. 208, actually. You'd think there'd be more, but this is a lot of leveled lists and things like that. So this is every item that's actually referencing this gold object. So, just kind of a helpful thing to know, and we're going to use that again in a minute. So congratulations, that's your first mod. This is obviously a very simple change, but this kind of change can be applied to anything. We're actually going to do something a little bit more complicated now. We're going to make a change to Lydia and give her a different default outfit and give her a different default weapon. So I'm going to go ahead and close out TES5Edit just to clear everything out. Let's go ahead and close this guy and reopen it. Again, you want to right-click and select None, and we want to select our 3 with our Skyrim update and our unofficial Skyrim patch. Click OK. It's a really good practice to select the Skyrim patch if I didn't mention that already. Load this up. Now I'm on an SSD, so it could be faster or slower for you. Okay, so we want to go find Lydia. So let's expand Skyrim.esm. Let's scroll down to non-player character actor. Expand that. Now to make this easier, we're going to sort this by name so that we can actually find her in the L's. Let's go ahead and do that and scroll down. Lots of stuff. Okay. Okay, here we go. Hijkl. Good old Lydia. So if we see here on the right side, once again, we've got our data layout in the view. We see what the unofficial Skyrim patch has changed. Again, to see all of the changes that are made, we can right-click and say hide no conflict rows. And now we see all of the things that the unofficial Skyrim patch makes changes to. It looks like it adds a script that wasn't present in the default to clean up the dead body, and it adds a different AI package. So let's undo that. So once again, just like we did with the gold, before we start making changes, we want to actually make an override copy of Lydia into a new plugin. So let's right-click, say copy as override into, select new file, click OK. File name without extension. Let's go ahead and call this Lydia Ebony Gear. We're going to go ahead and give her ebony outfit and weapons. Let's click OK. As usual, it's going to ask us if we want the Skyrim ESM as a master, which we have to, so let's click yes. And bam, suddenly we've got 3 records or 3 columns now that show us that 3 plugins are now changing Lydia. Now, if you notice this center one, and I did this on purpose, this center column suddenly turned red. That means that this plugin that's loading after it does not contain these changes and is therefore overwriting it and effectively removing them. You'll see this happen a lot, especially with unofficial Skyrim patches. A lot of times people won't include those changes, or they will make overrides using a record from the base Skyrim master and not include these changes, but we're going to go ahead and include those. I did this on purpose to kind of show you how drag and drop editing works. So we can scroll through and see everything that's red is being removed from a previous plugin. Sometimes you actually want this to be the case, but in this case we don't. We actually do want all of the changes from this unofficial Skyrim patch. So to do that, you can simply drag and drop from the column you want into our plugin. Now, one thing to note, you need to be kind of careful, because if you're dragging the top level parent block over, it will copy literally everything underneath it, whether it's red or not. So you might actually accidentally overwrite values that you don't intend to. In this case, this looks totally fine. That's the only values that are in there, so we're going to drag it from the top. So this here, VMAD virtual machine adapter, that's the script engine. We're going to click that and drag, and you see that turn into a plus icon and release. Bam, it copied. Nice and easy. Scroll down. There's changes to the factions. We're going to want to head, and the rank looks like what's changed. Let's drag that over. When you see everything turn yellow, that means that it's good. Package changed. We want to give her the same package from the unofficial Skyrim patch. Let's go ahead and do that. Now you see that we're getting a warning that we need to add the unofficial Skyrim patch as a master. And the reason that is because this USKP Lydia Sandbox Breeze Home package that it's referencing is only available within that plugin. And so for our plugin to be able to reference this record, it needs to add this as a master so that they're effectively joined together. Let's go ahead and click yes. Most cases, this is going to be okay when you're making a patch or when you're making a mod like this. Sometimes, for example, if we were giving Lydia, for example, armor from a mod, and we didn't actually want to include that as a master, or didn't intend to by accident, you just kind of want to keep track of that. So just be careful when you're adding things as masters. So let's right click and select hide no conflict rows again. Okay, it looks like everything is resolved. We now no longer have any conflicts. Our plugin actually contains everything within the unofficial Skyrim patch. So let's unhide that again. Looking good. Now we're going to make some changes. So let's actually go and find Lydia's weapon. Now within an NPC record, everything that the NPC holds, including their weapon, is going to be under items. So let's see, item, see, blah, 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 blah. So we've got the item and the count. So by default, she's got 1 steel sword. Now we're going to want to go ahead and change the steel sword to an ebony sword. There's a couple ways you can do this. You can either go scan through in the left and find the ID of the plugin that you want, copy it and paste it and do kind of some messy edits, which, you know, sometimes that's a requirement depending on the kinds of edits that you're doing. But in general, you're not going to need to do that. A cool little trick is you click on the cell, you click it one more time and let it load for a second, and it will turn into a drop down. This is every weapon in the Skyrim ESM. And if you don't know the name of what you're looking for, you can actually start to try to type it, and it will do a type ahead search. So we know that it starts with ebony. So let's go ahead and type ebony. Let's scroll down, and there's our ebony sword. So go ahead and just click it. And now our ebony sword is selected. We can click outside of that cell, and the change is applied. So you can see here also that it's showing that there's, you know, a divergence or a change to her items. In this case, it's her sword. Now, if you wanted to add extra items, you could also do that here. Let's go ahead and actually give her some gold by default. Whenever you want to add a new record, I mean, this can get a little bit dicey, but we're just going to go ahead and do it just to, you know, make it easy. Click on the right click in the cell of the top level item and hit add. So it added a blank record. So this is currently a null reference. Anytime you add a new record into any group of records, it's going to be a null reference to begin with. But again, as always, if we click in here, we get a drop down. Now this is going to be, in this case, every single item in the game, which is going to be a lot of things. So we're going to want to start doing type ahead to find the gold. Let's go ahead and click on that. The count, we're going to go ahead and change this. Let's go ahead and give her 500 gold. Why not? Nice and simple. So now Lydia not only has an ebony sword, but she is going to have 500 gold in her pocket. Now we want to change her outfit as well. So let's go ahead and scroll down and look for her outfit. There's a lot of data in here. There's going to be a lot of things that don't make a lot of sense. You can ignore most of this. Default outfit. This is the record that controls the outfit for the NPC. Now, here's a great little trick. This is something that I didn't really know until semi-recently. When you are looking at a reference to another record, which, let me kind of point out real quick. When you've got something here like an item count or something that you can just type over, obviously you can't type in regular text. This is just a plain text field. If you see something like this that's got an ID next to it, this is a reference to another record. So going back down to the outfit, this is actually a pointer to an outfit record. We could go dig through manually in the left side or do a search by name for this thing, but all we really need to do is hold control, and this will turn into a hyperlink that we can click to go directly into that record. So let me do that. Bam. Suddenly I am inside of the outfit record that I just clicked on. Now it's easy to get lost doing this. So in the upper right here, it's important to note that there are back and forward buttons that will allow you to move back to where you were. Very helpful. Let's go ahead and click back. Now we're back in the Lydia record. Makes it very easy to navigate around. You can get, you know, I don't remember how many levels deep you can get, but I've been 5, 10, you know, levels deep and been able to jump around very easily. So let's control click back on the outfit again. So if you notice here on the left, player housecarl outfit, this will show you the full path to where we are, so we're not lost. We're in the Skyrim ESM under the outfit. So looking at this player housecarl outfit, the name, it looks pretty obvious that this is probably not just used for Lydia. It's looking to me like this is probably used for all of the housecarls in the game. If that's the case, we don't want to make a direct change to this because all of the housecarls are going to suddenly have ebony armor. As you can see here, this has links or pointers to all of the pieces of armor that are contained in this outfit. So to tell what all is using this outfit, we can use that tab I mentioned before, which is the referenced by tab. Again, very helpful to know what you're affecting. So let's click this, and lo and behold, we've got all of the different housecarls that are actually using this outfit record. So if we made a change to this base record, all 5 of these NPCs would be affected. Now, you may want that, but in this case, just to give you an example, we're going to change that and give Lydia a unique outfit so that only she has the ebony armor on. So to do that, let's go ahead and go to into the left pane again where we have selected. Now, if you remember, we did copy as override into, but we're not going to do that this time. We're going to do copy as new record. We're actually going to make a copy of this outfit with a new ID and a new name just so that we can make it unique and give it to Lydia only. So in this case, we're going to say copy as new record into. Now it's going to prompt you to change the editor ID. This is very important so that you don't get lost or accidentally overwrite. and make sure that you name it something very obvious. So let's go ahead and say Lydia outfit ebony. Very, very obvious what that means. So let's click OK. It's going to ask us which plugin we want to copy this record into. We want to put a checkbox next to Lydia Ebony Gear. Click OK. And we don't see any confirmation, but if you click in the messages window, you'll actually see that the copying accomplished OK. Click View, and we can actually double check that by closing this up. I'm going to resort by form ID, expand our new plugin, and you'll see Outfit. And there's our new record. So we have a brand new record called Lydia Outfit Ebony. It still has all of the steel armor by default, but we're going to go ahead and change all those to be ebony. So just like I showed you before, you can click on any record and either click it and wait for it to turn into a drop-down, or press F2 and start typing. So I don't know the exact name of the armor, so I'm just going to start typing armor ebony. Okay, and there it is. Oops. Armor ebony boots. So like that. Go to the steel armor, hit F2, armor ebony cuirass. Click here, hit F2, type armor ebony gauntlets, press return. Click here, F2, armor ebony, oh wait, what was this? Oh, the shield. Armor ebony shield. And then let's go ahead and hit save. I'm a compulsive saver, you should be too. Let's hit Control S. Make sure that the checkbox is ticked, hit OK. Click back to our View tab. Okay, so now we've got our Lydia Outfit Ebony record all ready to go. Now we just need to add it back onto Lydia. So let's expand NPC, click on Lydia. Let's go back down to her outfit. So where we before had player housecarl outfit, we're going to click that, and once again, hit F2, start typing in the name of our new outfit, Lydia Outfit Ebony. Go ahead and click that. Click outside of the cell to make the change, or press return. Now Lydia will use this new outfit and have ebony armor. So let's go ahead and make a save again. Click OK. So now let's go ahead and actually load the game and see what that looks like. So as we can see here, Lydia is now wearing the ebony armor by default, and don't mind her appearance. It's kind of a clash with a couple of mods that I have going right now. Let's actually go ahead and get her to follow us so we can take a look at her inventory. Follow me, I need your help. Lead the way. Let's look at her inventory. Need to trade some things. So remember we added the gold septum to her inventory. So this is also the change we made to the gold septum to actually call it a gold septum and give it some weight. You can see in here now it has a weight of 0.1 and the name gold septum. And she's got the ebony sword as well. So yeah, that's pretty much it. I hope this was useful. Again, I'm going to be covering more topics. The next video I'm going to be doing is going to be covering merging weather mods together. So subscribe if you like what you see. I'm going to continue to be adding tutorials like this. I'm going to start getting into how to use scripts and everything as well. So yeah, take care. I'll see you in the next tutorial. Bye-bye.